Hi there, I am the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled, Curiosity May Have Killed the Cat, but it didn't kill the dog. It gave it life. A few months ago, I read the curious story of Bobi. Now, Bobi is the oldest recorded living dog. He was a purebred Rafeiro de Aletejo, a breed of kind of Portuguese farm dog, I guess. Sadly, Bobi died this week. He was aged 31 years and 165 days. Now, they say there are 7 dog years for every human year. So if Bobi were human, he would have made it to about 220 years old. So remarkable, remarkable story. Now, according to BBC News, Bobi lived his whole life with the Costa family in the village of Conqueiros near Portugal's west coast. After being born with 3 other siblings in an outbuilding, Lionel Costa, who was 8 years old at the time, said his parents had too many animals and sadly the other puppies had to be put down. But Bobi, it seemed, escaped. Mr. Costa and his brothers kept the dog's existence a secret from their parents until eventually he was discovered and they let him become a part of the family. They fed him the same food they ate, but with the flavouring removed. So they ate human food essentially. Mr. Costa said that Bobi had enjoyed a relatively trouble-free life and thought that the secret to his longevity was the calm, peaceful environment that he lived in. Stress-free, I guess. He just ran free on the farm, just allowed to be Bobi. And it seems it wasn't just Bobi that lived a long time. Bobi was not the only dog owned by Mr. Costa to live a long, long life. Bobi's mother lived to be the age of 18, while another of the family's dogs lived to the age of 22. So there's some secret going on there. Curiouser and curiouser. Now, as you know, I've become a bit of a dog enthusiast if you've watched my videos before. I am curious about every dog I ever meet. I've been asking questions about them all day, every dog that me and Molly have met today. One of my favourite games I like to play is to attempt to work out the mix of some of the dogs that I meet, especially the ones that are poodle mixes or mixes of all kinds of dogs. Very popular these days. It's a favourite conversation at the moment. You know what? Mostly I get it right, even when it's a mixture of 3 types of dogs. I've my mind can seem to work out what dogs they're made up from. Not always, but it's not a perfect science. But I'm getting quite good at it. Curiouser and curiouser. One thing, another thing I'm curious about though is also what impassions, what fires people up, what brings people to life, enlivens them, gets their spirit working. And I found myself in some amazingly animated conversations recently, not least last Sunday after the services. I've never known coffee time to be more animated, and the conversations that continue beyond that all this week, really, about what we explored in worship last Sunday. My previous video, if you want to check that out, it's just animated me all week long. I've loved hearing perspectives of others on the things we explored. It's another curiosity of mine to hear and understand where others are coming from, how they interact with life and their own spiritual beliefs and their own explorations and their own doubts and their own struggles and their own curiosities, the things that fire them up, that bring them to life, that enliven them. And I was talking about this on Monday morning with Janine, who's working with me at the moment. As I stated last week, I'm enjoying these conversations in the last video, that is. Really enjoying these conversations we're having each week. It's helped me reflect on my own ministerial journey, which is a curiosity in itself, I can assure you. I'm also interested in Janine and where Janine is coming from and wondering where she's going to end up, I guess. It's a real curiosity to me. One of my other curiosities is what makes people tick, what they are curious about themselves. I was talking with a friend recently who told me that as a child growing up, he felt very frustrated that people were not as curious about things as he was. And I listened to him talk about this. He talks about it, he brings it up a lot actually. What I've realised is I'm not sure it's entirely true, his perspective actually. I'm not sure I agree with it. He's very scientifically minded and he's very and was and is very curious about how he sees things, how things work in a material sense, I guess. What he doesn't seem to realize, or what I seem to realize about him and the conversation, is that people are curious. They're curious, just as curious as he is, just as curious as I am. It's just what holds their curiosity at other areas of life. They're curious about things perhaps that hold no interest to us or him, to be him or me. People are curious about so many things. It's an aspect of our humanity. It's just people are curious about different things. It just baffles me sometimes what people are curious about, but they are. Curiosity is the animate is what animates life, I think. So it's wrong to suggest that people lack curiosity. It's just they're curious about things. People are curious about different things. Human beings are diverse in every sense, in a multitude of ways. Diversity isn't just one or the other thing. It seems the more I learn, the more I see, the more I witness, the more diversity I see everywhere. And I want to celebrate that. It's a fascinating curiosity about humanity, how diverse we are in so many ways. Watching Molly in life is a curiosity. It fascinates me. She's curious about everything. So playful, so I was talking. There was somebody met her today, and they were saying how alive her eyes are. And they said they've never seen a dog with such alive eyes. She watches everything. Such soulfulness, such life in those eyes. Just a living, breathing curiosity. And she's not a puppy now. She's 15 months old, but her eyes are so alive, and people point that out all the time. She's so curious, but we're all curious. Everything's curious. Life is. It's the energy of life is curiosity. Maybe that's what makes life. That those little seedlings that come through the earth. Maybe it's curiosity at the soul of them. Everything's curious. I'm curious about what sparks curiosity though. Curiosity is the maybe it's the divine spark in everything. Curiosity is a holy act. It's holiness. It's divinity. Maybe that's what curiosity is. Maybe we should all practice holy curiosity. Maybe we do without realizing it. Barbara Batucci in Grace on the Go said, "What a wonderful combination of words. Holy curiosity. Our ability to wonder, to inquire, to welcome what is new, and to keep our minds open to truth when and where we find it. Surely this is one of the most miraculous qualities that human beings possess. Maintain an open mind today. Ask questions. Acknowledge truth when you find it. Pray to be led by holy curiosity." To me, it seems that curiosity is a characteristic of the divine spark within us, and it's an antidote to cynicism. Curiosity is a risk as it makes us vulnerable and it makes us open. Yes, to disappointment at times, but also to wonder and spontaneous delight. Curiosity, it gives us the courage to discover almost unimaginable aspects of ourselves and of others. It's a doorway to beginning to live those questions of life. Curiosity is our most natural state. It is something innate within us. We should never dampen curiosity. We should never dampen it down in others either. And it matters not what we're curious about because we're all different, we're diverse. So our curiosities are bound to be diverse. But sadly, too often we dampen it down. And sometimes we dampen curiosity, our own curiosity, as we think we've learned all we're ever going to learn, we've gained all that we can gain. We lose that natural curiosity that a child has or a puppy has. They say curiosity killed the cat. It may be true, but I reckon though, it, when I look at my little dog, when I look at that Bobi in Portugal, I think curiosity saved the dog. It gives dog, and maybe it's what brings us to life too. Maybe curiosity is the secret to a long life like Bobi. To maintain and keep on developing curiosity, maybe that's the secret. So I've been thinking about my friend and his apparent frustration at what he sees as a lack of curiosity in others, or certainly as a child. But I think what he failed to see is that people are curious about different things. He wanted to know how things work. People like myself are more interested in not so much how things work, but how people work, what animates life. My fascination is people. I've always been curious about such things. I know others who are similar to me too. They're always inquiring about others. They're interested in people. They are the people who, when they ask how you are, they really want to know how you are. They're not just being polite. They want to accompany you in life. And in many ways, I think that's really what ministry is about. I've been thinking about ministry. I'm still curious about ministry, particularly pastoral ministry. And actually, it brings to mind Jesus, actually, and the two men that he meets on the road to Emmaus in Luke's Gospel, chapter 24. And verse 17, the question that he asks, what are you discussing together as you walk along? That's what fascinates me. That's my holy curiosity. I want to know what people are engaging in, what they're discussing, what they're talking about. It brings me to life. It really does. I've always been fascinated by people's conversations, the way they interact with others, and the questions they ask about life, all aspects of life. The ordinary, the everyday stuff, the seemingly mundane to some, small talk, which actually is some of the biggest talk going. Like Molly, you see, I'm like a dog in many ways. I'm always sniffing things out, just in a different kind of way to a dog. I don't use my nose necessarily, but I'm inquiring, I'm curious. But it's the energy of my life. It's my holy curiosity. Is there anything more holy than being attentive to life, to this life, to real life? This is where the spirit is actually, not some imagined place on the other side of the rainbow. It's here now, in this moment, in this life, right now. This is what I'm curious about. As Henri Nouwen observed, the spiritual life is not a life before, after, or beyond our everyday existence. No, the spiritual life can only be real when it is lived in the midst of the pains and the joys of the here and now. Right here, right now. The spiritual life must be a curious life. It is holy curiosity. Now, it may surprise you to hear that it was Albert Einstein who coined the phrase holy curiosity. We've got a poster actually in the schoolroom next door with the following quote from him. Einstein said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity." Seems to me that holy curiosity is what is central to the spiritual life. But sadly, this has not always been the case. Sadly, the impulse to shut down curiosity has been at the core of much religious belief. It's seen as dangerous and vanity, really, a form of vanity to be too curious, to seek beyond oneself. But it's not only been found in religion, it's there in philosophy too. Many philosophers have seen it as an indulgence. It's there in the stories and myths too, not just the religious ones, the folk tales, the fairy stories. Children are taught that curiosity can be dangerous. That same curiosity killed the cat. Think about what happened to the curious in those fairy stories. Things often did not turn out that well for them. He got them into a spot of bother. Think of Snow White. She opens the door to an old woman who's really a murderous queen in disguise, and pays for this mistake with her life as she eats the poisoned apple. Think of Red Riding Hood and Goldilocks and Sleeping Beauty, all narrowly escaping this same fate, really. Snow White, okay, Snow White gets the handsome prince at the end, but she dies first and then is born again. We're kind of strangely taught from an early age of the dangers of curiosity. It's there, right there in the second book of Genesis. Adam and Eve are told not to eat of the tree of knowledge, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge. But curiosity gets the better of them, and as a result, they are cast out of paradise. It, I think Snow White has quite a few deep connections to this story. What do you reckon? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, these stories are all telling some journey. There's the return to paradise and rebirth, of course. It's all in there in the stories. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. But maybe it leads to life in the end. Who knows? Each Sunday in worship, we enter into curiosity, into search, seeking something more, a deeper understanding, a deeper experience. And this means, of course, exploring the darker aspects at times, often, really, as we did last Sunday as we looked at theodicy. Into in, but people's responses to that so delighted me as we journeyed together, as we brought to life our own holy curiosity. And to me, that is the essence of the Unitarian tradition. Unitarian ministry is about lighting that spark, I think. We are a religion for the curious. It's right there at the beginning of our history, in the midst of the Reformation, a response in so many ways to restrictive forms of Calvinistic Protestantism that quashed curiosity, really. John Calvin himself said that the most direct path to finding God is not to attempt with presumptuous curiosity to pry into his essence, which is rather to be adored than minutely discussed. I shudder to think what he would have thought about last Sunday's worship and the conversations that followed. I'd have probably been on the stake, probably. But our religion is one for the curious, for those who want to explore. The God I know comes to life through curiosity. This, to me, is living spiritually alive. So while curiosity may have killed the cat, it gave life to the dog. So I say, let's all of us be like the old Portuguese farm dog Bobi and live long and wonderful lives. Let's keep our senses open and let's live by holy curiosity. For surely this is the answer to the question of life. How then shall I live? Well, let's live by holy curiosity. And here's my little dog, curious about us, what I'm doing here. So I'm going to end that question with in the form of a wonderful poem by the wonderfully curious Mary Oliver, who, as you may or may not know, the wonderful loved dogs and she loved their wonderful curiosity. So here's a bit of Mary Oliver and her poem, When Death Comes. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse, to buy me and snap the purse shut, when death comes like the measle pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering what it's going to be like, this cottage of darkness. And therefore I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea, and I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy, and as singular, and each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does towards silence, and each body a lion of courage, and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. Wonderful, eh? Let's live with holy curiosity. So here's some final words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more, and we can all bless. When we give ourselves wholly to life. So, may our lives be blessed according to the depth of our love, the persistence of our faith, our willingness to forgive and be compassionate, and in proportion to our yearning to be free. And may the love of God hold us and sustain us, and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.